About a month ago, I canceled the pre-order for my book, Blood Rivals, which was going to be book 2 in the Sanguine Syndicate, which is the Vampire Mafia romance series that I am currently writing. Hi, Romance Besties. I'm Krista Tomlinson, indie published romance author of several MM romance novels. Welcome to my home here on YouTube, where I talk about the romance genre, post video quizzes for you to test your romance knowledge, and share my author journey through blogs and video chats. If those sound like topics that you'll be interested in, please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking the subscribe button below. This week I am chatting with you all about canceling my book, Blood Rivals. I had to cancel it. About a month ago, I canceled the pre-order for my book, Blood Rivals, which was going to be book 2 in the Sanguine Syndicate, which is the Vampire Mafia romance series that I am currently writing. I had planned for this book to be book 2 as I was finishing up the first book, and so I went ahead and put the pre-order up there, and I started working on it. I had the outline going. I was writing the story, but the problem was I had a couple problems with the story. The characters, the main thing, the characters just weren't gelling for me. Basically, I couldn't get them to come together in a way that felt natural to me to write. And the problem, where that problem came from, I don't like to get too much into discourse in the romance genre. I've really pulled back from that, and this is part of the reason why. Is because I was writing in a way that felt like what I should write as opposed to what I want to write. Felt like I was attempting to write the story in a way to kind of satisfy some of the discourse that was going around about MM romance, and it pops up every now and again, and as opposed to what again felt natural to me to write. So once I realized I was doing that, I went ahead and I put the brakes on that and said, okay, I can't write to write by committee, basically, which is another reason you shouldn't read your reviews, authors, if you're not, even if you don't think you're going to get upset over them. They can kind of influence the way that you write your story or plan your stories, and writing by committee is just not the way to go. So I really had to kind of make sure I was writing what was in my head and not what was in vocal discourses, coming into my head. The other issue that I was having with this story was I was writing a trope that is difficult for me to write, and I didn't quite realize it because I haven't written it too often, so I didn't realize how hard it was for me to do. Obviously, until you try, you don't know. So I was writing the story. The title of the story was Blood Rivals, so it was a rivals to lovers story, and so there was a lot of antagonism between the two characters. It wasn't enemies to lovers quite, but it was close to it. And that was really hard for me to write. And I couldn't quite grasp the struggle that I was having until I sat down and I said, okay, Krista, let's think about this. Who are your favorite heroes that you've written so far? And I thought my favorite heroes that I've written so far are Logan from The Sergeant, Everett from Blood Kiss, and also those are my top 2 favorites. And so I thought about, okay, if those are your top 2 favorites, and those are stories that are not antagonistic, and they are just head over heels for their love interest, almost from page 1, I see why you're struggling, because if you like to write the story where they are, at least one character is just super duper in love with the love interest almost from the beginning of the story, and now you're trying to write a story where neither one of them are really into each other at first, and they're constantly butting heads, and I kind of looked at my outline and I was like, oh my god, look how long it takes for them to actually get past all this and get together. I was like, that does not work for me at all. It didn't work, and it took me a while to kind of realize that, and realize this isn't the story for you to write just yet. And so I figured out some ways that I could tweak the story and fix the story to come around to what I actually like to write for these two characters. But by that point, I was just kind of tired. I was like, it's been weeks. I'm like super behind schedule. I don't want to look at the story anymore. I just want to close this book and move on and look at something else. And so, so that's basically what I needed to do. I just needed to take a break from that story and look at something else. And then I thought that I remembered that I actually had a struggle like that before with Dr. Z, my superhero romance, because those are two characters who are, constantly butting heads before they finally give in and get with each other. And I struggled with that. So I was like, you know what? This isn't the trope for you to write right now. So just put a pin in this story and we'll fix it, because I still love those characters and I still want to do the Rivals thing, just not as intense as I was doing at first. And I'm going to come back to that later. So that's what I decided to do. However, there was a problem with that decision. So once I realized that I was super duper struggling with the Blood Rivals story and trying to do a Rivals to Lovers trope, and even like I said, once I realized I could fix it, I still need to take a break from it. But the problem with that is that I had a pre-order for it. And with pre-orders, you can't, when you first upload it, you put at least a little bit of detail in there. So I had already put the title up there, Blood Rivals. I had already put a very brief description of what the story was going to be about, that it was, a Rivals to Lovers, Vampire, Mafia romance. I had already put that up there. And so readers had already, done the pre-order. And so I couldn't change that for two reasons. One, Amazon doesn't let you change titles, and I didn't realize that until I saw someone else mention it, I believe. But once you put that in there for a pre-order, I guess you could change it afterwards, but for a pre-order, you can't change it to something else. And the other thing, the main thing, the biggest thing, is that I wasn't gonna, do a switcheroo on my readers. They signed up expecting a Rivals to Lovers romance featuring these two characters that I had already named. So I can't, just say, oh, well, I don't like this book, so I'm gonna put something else on this pre-order instead. That felt icky to me, and so I wasn't going to do that. And so I had to, that's what took me so long to make the decision, because it's like, I've got this pre-order up here. What do I do with it? I can't just, I felt weird to cancel it. I've never canceled a book before. And so I wasn't sure what to do. So I kept the pre-order up and I kept fighting the story before I finally realized, like, okay, do you want to fight the story and put out something that isn't good to keep the pre-orders, or do you want to just let the pre-orders go and cancel it and do something that works best for you and will be an actual good story and that you will love and readers will love? And when I thought of it that way, the decision was easy. The reason I had the pre-order up in the first place was because I was trying to kind of use the methods that other authors have used to find success. So one method is that, if you're doing a series, which this is, and you're trying to build an audience and gain readership for that series, what you do is you publish the first book, and in the back, when the back matter or the end of the book, you've got a pre-order up for the next book, and you have it already listed on Amazon, and so readers can say, oh, this is awesome, the next book is ready to go, well, let me go ahead and, well, not ready to go, but at least it's coming, and so they can go ahead and sign up for that next book. And this is a method that lots of authors have found a lot of success with. And so I was like, well, if that's what everyone's doing, then I'm going to do it too. But the problem for that with me was two problems. One, I ran into the situation where I didn't like the book that I had started and I didn't want to publish it anymore. So it's like, oh my God, what do you do in this situation? So I realized that I would just rather not do a pre-order in that situation, because I would rather not have anything committed until I actually decide on what the actual story is going to be. The other issue is that deadlines make me stress in a weird way. One, they make me stress that it's just like, oh my God, this deadline, I've got to be ready by this deadline. The other problem is that I have that kind of, that funky, thing where, well, it's due on the 28th, so I don't have to do it until the 28th. You can't do a whole book like that. So my deadline, issues were just a mess, and that just wasn't working for me. They put too much stress on me trying to make sure that I have everything written in time. I've got to have it done by this deadline. Like, for example, when I did Blood Kiss, I didn't have anything up for that. Nothing official. I didn't have any pre-orders for it. And when I was almost done writing it, I started to kind of share a little bit about it on TikTok, and someone asked me, do you have a pre-order link? And so me, being goofy me, yeah, sure, I went ahead and put up a pre-order. And as soon as I did that, it immediately stressed me out. And I started focusing on, I've got to meet this deadline, as opposed to just writing that story and enjoying writing the story. And it immediately stressed me out, and having to think about moving the deadline if I don't make it. And I realized deadlines, pre-orders do not work for me. And so I'm just not going to do them anymore. I'm just going to write the book, keep it to myself as much as I need to, share if I want to, but nothing official, no dates given. Finish the book first, and then once you finish writing the book and editing the book, you still have a bunch of stuff to do after that. So at that point, I would feel comfortable doing maybe a short pre-order, or giving a date, or at that point for saying, okay, it's going to be out in 2 weeks, because I still have to proofread, I still got to format, I still got to get out promotional stuff ready, and I still got to upload and write the blurb and all that kind of stuff. So there's still work to be done, but at that point the book is already finished. So I would feel comfortable, having a pre-order link or even promoting it at that point. So that's what I'm going to do from here on out. So as much as the other method has given the authors lots of success, it's just not one that works for me. So although I do feel super duper happy with my decision to not do the long pre-orders anymore, there is a big con for that. Obviously, like I mentioned with the other authors, they can find success in that way of having that link ready to go and kind of grabbing those readers. And then also, I'll miss out on promotions and stuff like that. So for example, if someone is doing, an article with the top 10 books that I can't wait to read next month, I can't really be included in that, because I'm going to be, basically really having my book ready to go and then releasing it 2 weeks later. So I won't be announcing stuff far enough back in advance for readers to and promotional efforts to really take advantage of that. And so while I will miss doing that, unfortunately, like I said, I think it's best for me. But a pro that I have for that is that I would actually prefer to really only promote books that are already done and complete. So I'm self-published, so I can choose my dates when I release things. When I'm finished with the book, I can pretty much go ahead and put it out immediately, as opposed to traditional publishing, where they have these slates they have to fill in, they have to work with a bunch of other releases and things like that. So the book can be done and ready to go, and it could be even a year past that before the book is out and promotion all that time, but you can't really get that book. Whereas with self-publishing, I can go ahead and release my book and then start promoting it immediately, or just make sure that the book is actually live. And up until that point, until that book is ready to go, I can be promoting the book before that, because you can only promote so many books at a time. And my backlist is growing, and I can't promote all the books all the time. So if I just promote, if I'm just working on promoting book 1 because it's already out there, and then once book 2 is actually live, then it's like I have a live link for you to buy the book and you can read it right now, as opposed to I'm promoting this book, but it's not going to be ready to go for you to actually read it until a month from now. So that, it's kind of a little bit of a, give and take, a little balance there. There is a negative side to it, but there is a positive side to it as well. And like I said, as a self-published author, I feel like I would just be better off just promoting stuff that's already live anyway. So I think it wins out for me. So the first time canceling a book is definitely scary. I've never canceled a book before. I've definitely postponed books until I got myself together and made sure the book was ready to go. But I've never straight just said, nope, I'm not doing that one. This is the first time I've ever done that. And it was super scary. Just, when I was because you know you have to go into Amazon and you've got to click buttons and whatever, and I had the cursor just hovering over that cancel pre-order button, and it just, oh god, I felt sick when I pushed the button. It's like, I gotta go for a walk and walk this off just to get over the stress of canceling this book. But yeah, so it was scary, but it was for the best. And I love the new story that I am working on, which I'm not sharing any dates for or giving any information on. That's not how we're gonna do things around here anymore. But I do love the story. It feels good to me. And actually, I was writing this story while I was supposed to be writing Blood Rivals, because this story was coming to me so easily, and it was tropes that are easier for me to write, and character dynamics that are easier for me to write. So even though I wasn't supposed to be working on that story, by the time that I quit writing Blood Rivals, I had 8,000 words written for, which is about 4 chapters or so, three chapters written for this other book. And so yeah, so I feel better about it. I feel comfortable. I feel confident in this story. I think readers will be able to tell that I'm confident in this story as they're reading it, which is definitely a positive. Whereas I feel like you might have picked up on the struggle of the other one. So yeah, although it's scary, it was definitely for the best. And this isn't to say canceling Blood Rivals doesn't mean that I'm never going to write this particular trope, or any trope that is not something that comes easily to me. This doesn't mean that I'm only going to write the same 1 or 2 tropes over and over again. I do want to stretch my writing muscles, but I think it would be best to do it in a situation where it's not dependent upon how well a book is going to do and how that's going to affect my income. So I feel like I should practice it. And for me, ways that I can practice are through fan fiction. So I can, write some fan fiction and practice writing tropes that are a little bit more of a struggle for me, with character types that are a little bit more of a struggle for me. I can also write some free serials online and just I'm actually working on one now, and I can, do something like that where I just where it doesn't matter if it doesn't do well, because I don't have anything reliant on it. I don't have to worry about, is this book going to sell? Am I going to make money from this book? I don't want to put the stress of trying a new trope onto also having to make money from this book. So basically fan fiction, or just something free that I'm just writing in my free time to put online for readers to try and enjoy. That would be where I practice writing something new, practice writing a different style, and kind of stretch my writing muscles in that situation where, again, there's nothing reliant upon how well that book does. So what are the lessons that we learned here today? I learned to write what I love to write. It's okay to have tropes and character dynamics and settings and backstories and things like that I love, and to put different spins on them, but basically keep that same framework that I enjoy writing and that I love writing. It is okay to do that. The next thing that I learned is that it's okay to quit. So if something is not working, you do not have to stick with it. You do not have to force yourself to continue to write something that's not working for you and that you're just not enjoying. You do not have to do that. It is okay to quit. It might feel embarrassing. It might be hard to do. There might be repercussions from it. But if it's not working, it's best to actually think about, how will this affect me in the long run? I feel like if I had released Blood Rivals the way that it was written, it would have hurt the series, because again, I feel like writers may have felt the struggle that I had. They might not have enjoyed it, and then if that happens, they might ditch the series and not go into book 3. So in this case, it was okay to quit. And the last thing I learned was to do what works best for me. Just because something is popular in the self-publishing sphere doesn't mean that I have to do it. Authors will figure out things that work for them, things that don't work for them all the time. And that's just how you learn and you grow. You realize things that this might be popular over here, but it's not working for me. And in this situation, I learned that long pre-orders are not something that works for me. So that's it. That is why I canceled Blood Rivals. I apologize to everyone who pre-ordered that book and was looking forward to reading it. I am so sorry to have canceled that book on you, but I think it was definitely the best decision. I think you'll be happier when I come back to that book at a later date, and I've had time to be fresh and relaxed and change the story to something that actually works for me as a writer, and I think you'll enjoy it much more then. So it was definitely the best decision to not release that book. But again, I super duper apologize that I canceled that pre-order. So just let me know, have you ever had to change your mind on something? Have you had to cancel something that wasn't working out for you, or decided, this isn't the best path for me and go in a different direction? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Let me know what you think about me canceling this book, and if you think that I did the right decision, or if there was something else that I could have done in this situation. All right. Thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate it a bunch if you were to go ahead and give it a like. That will let YouTube know to show this video to other viewers who might share your same interests, and help make sure that my future videos show up in your feed. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting me and helping my channel grow. I'll see you next time. Remember, read good books, take care of yourself, and stay in romance.